Bar graphs and column graphs. Within this video, we are going to look at the difference between bar graphs and column graphs, the different features of column graphs, and when to use column graphs. Bar graphs and column graphs are very similar, except bar graphs have horizontal bars and column graphs have vertical columns. Vertical columns, horizontal bars. An example, the following table shows responses from a group of students who are asked, what is your favorite color? In this case, frequency is the number of students. In a column graph, we have vertical columns. In a bar graph, you have horizontal bars. In your exercise book, pause this video, write down the key differences and similarities between a bar graph and a column graph. Key differences you should have noticed. Column graphs have vertical columns and bar graphs have horizontal bars. The similarities, they all have a title, categories are equally spaced, labels on the horizontal and vertical axes. There is a small gap between each column or bar. Key features of a column graph, column and bar graphs. They have titles, which is this thing right here. The categories are equally spaced, so these categories have the same space. Frequency starts from 0, just right here. The horizontal axis is labeled. Horizontal is a cross. And the vertical axis, which is this axis right here, is labeled as well. Drawing a graph by hand. You're going to use the same data set and then we'll incorporate the video. Drawing a column graph by hand. Notice that the axes have been ruled. They've started the scale from 0. The scale goes up to 20 because our highest value is 19. We're measuring up to the first value, which is 12. And that corresponds to green. We label the column. Then we measure out the next columns. It's also a good thing to note that this column graph has been done in a erasable pencil, which means when I made a mistake while doing it, I could rub it out. And we've labeled both axes. And this is an optional part, but I've colored in the columns so they stand out and it's easier for someone to read. Things to note about our graph. There were headings. Things to note about our graph. 1, the heading. There was a clear heading. The columns weren't touching. The columns were equally spaced. Both axes were labeled, so the x-axis, which is the horizontal axis, and the vertical axis, which was this axis right here. And the frequency started from 0. So it went up by 2, and it started from 0. When to use column graphs? When displaying discrete data or when displaying categorical data, such as favorite eye color, eye color, or favorite subject.